boys and girls. So this is the picture from the OLS of the Navajo Chief blanket, and this is what I'm trying to copy in my weaving. So I actually drew out my loom with my 17 weft threads, the vertical threads, so that I could figure out how many threads I needed to use for each color going side to side, and I overlapped the sides. So you're going to kind of see how I did it, and that's totally optional for you guys. You don't have to make a design. You can just do stripes, just like you see here. You can make any colored stripes. You can make any pattern that you want. You can experiment with it and play around and see what it looks like. So I don't want you to feel like you need to make the same blanket, because it is pretty difficult even for me. So I actually spliced up the videos and I left the instructions on how to do the black and red part that you see here in the intermediate and advanced pattern video that I'm going to link as well. So right now I'm going to show you how to do more of like the different colored stripes, like the black and white stripes. So you can start with something a little bit easier, and if you want to do something more advanced, you can look for that next video and try that as well if you want to. I don't want you to feel the pressure that you have to make this exact blanket or even do a pattern that makes sense, because I know it can be challenging. So I'm going to let you guys see me attempting it and what I did, but I just wanted to kind of give you that understanding before we get started. I want to talk about these. I just made these as a piece of, from a piece of scrap for my cereal box. If you didn't use a cereal box to make your loom, I would maybe even just look and see if you take a flap from one of them. Even, I guess this is kind of small. Maybe I would take the side of it. So if you have a box, like this kind of cardboard, a thin one, you don't want to use this thick cardboard because this is going to be really hard to get underneath your threads. So you want a thin piece of cardboard, and it actually worked really well. Mine, I was almost going to trim it to make it shorter, but if it's as long as you're weaving, then that's perfect. So see how mine's like even past the edges? That's the perfect length for this. Right now I wrapped it up just because I'm going to put this away, and so if you decide that you're going to stop mid-weaving, which you will, you can just wrap it up and keep it nice and tidy. But what I did was I just kind of like twist it a little bit, so like this corner goes up over the next one, then twist it down, and I can kind of dig underneath. So that's why when you see me weaving with this, and I'm sliding it too to help get that weaving in there. So if you kind of like wiggle it up and down, or you can also just lift up every other as you go. Okay, so this I thought was great. You can also check it. So you can see this is on top, this is underneath, this is on top, this is underneath, this is on top, this is underneath, so that when you go to pull it through, you can check it first. And it should always be the reverse of what you have before. So this would actually be wrong because that was under too. But I could reverse it easily. So I thought this is cool. I also have both going. So my white here, my blue here. So that when I go and start the blue again, I'm just going to go underneath that first one and wrap it around, and then I'll start my striping, and that'll kind of pull the blue from underneath right there so it ends up in the correct place. Just undo what I did. So I thought these were helpful. Even though it says to use a plastic needle, I actually think this would be a lot easier. So see if you can make yourself one of these cool little shuttle type things. I'm going to wrap mine up. And then if you want to keep it really nice and neat, you just wrap up your extras. You could even take like a binder clip if you have one, or a paper clip. Just clip it together. You can even do both sides. Or put it in a plastic baggie, a Ziploc baggie is a big one. That would be really good. So then you can put it away for a little while until you have time to work on it again. So it's really fun, and it's also cool to see like how it looks, and it feels nice and soft. So I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I am. I know it's a lot of work, but the result is pretty cool. Okay, so I finished the pattern, and you can see some areas where right here I made a mistake because I went under the same one, I think 3 times in a row, and I'm not sure why. I didn't notice. So that means one time I was supposed to go under, the next time I wasn't supposed to go under, but I did, and then the third time I was supposed to go under, so it's 3 times in a row. So that's why you can see that warp thread there, the little bit of twine that you can see. But the rest of it looks pretty good. Just kind of pat it down a little bit, but it's coming out, right? And this is the expectation of sort of what it should look like if you're doing a pattern. Also, it looks like I made a mistake over here, doesn't it? Oh, I told you that already. I knew that. So, oh well. It's okay. This is learning process, right? It looks like, nope, that's just part of it. So that's it for so far. I'm going to try to tuck these, no, I'm going to use this, threads under. And now I'm going to show you this striping technique that is the expectation. Okay, so this is extra. If you decided you wanted to make a pattern, you could, but this is sort of how it looks. So you don't have to even do it. You can just watch this to get an idea of how to make a pattern. But there we go. So I tucked all those under with the end of my little cardboard. I guess we'll call it a shuttle. So I'm going to cut off this. And the next stripe is supposed to be black and white. It looks like it starts with a line of black going all the way across. So I'm going to take my blue thread, my blue yarn. I'm going to get some off. Right here. I'm actually going to get a lot off because it's what I'm going to use when I do that striping. So I'm going to see if I can keep this attached. So I'm going to tie it on here, on the corner, the 2 knots. Okay, I'm going to try to push this underneath. Okay, and I'm just going to do 2 rows, just like I did for that little stripe. So I'm going to tie this. Actually, no, I'm not going to tie it yet because I'm going to use that one for my whites. Although I guess I could make 2, huh? I'm going to keep going all the way across. So I ended on the underneath. I'm going to go over and go underneath the opposites. Gently tuck it down with my fingers. I'm going to leave that here and see how it goes with the white. I might have to tie it off, but if I do, that's okay too. So I'm going to do my white. Got glitter on it. Okay, so now I've got this to weave with. I'm also going to take this end, the other end, and I'm going to knot around this first warp thread 2 times, just like when you tie your shoelaces. Okay, then I'm going to tuck this under, just like I've been doing with the other ones, so it's out of the way, doesn't get caught up in the weave. Okay, so now that counts as over. I'm going to go under. Oh, you know what? That one was left over. So how can I make that alternate? I want that to alternate. Oh no, that was under. So I need to go over this one to go the opposite direction. So I'm just lifting up every other thread and then, be careful it doesn't catch on stuff, pulling it through. Gently at the end, and then just push it down with your fingers. Make sure it's nice and straight and it's not all bubbly or anything. So then, check at the end here. This one under that warp thread. So I'm going to go over. I'm going to go lift up every other again. So going over, under, under. When I lift it up, that means I'm going under it, right? So all the other ones I'm going over. Once I lift, I'm going under. Okay, that's all in. You can even check it before you pull it through. and then pull it through. Push down. Okay. And then just keep repeating this process over and over until I'm going to try to build up maybe one of these, because it looks like they're pretty thin stripes, and then I'll switch to the blue. So now I brought that blue yarn from below the white stripe up around the back. So I went underneath that first warp thread so that I can kind of hide it behind the white. If you want to, you can just tie off your black thread or your blue yarn rather at that skinny stripe, and then you can retie a new part of it above the white, or you can do what I did. So it's just really up to you. And then I'm going to now attach my blue thread to another one. I just loved the way that it worked. I wanted to keep my white attached for my next stripes. So I decided to add another little one of those shuttle boards that you guys should create as well, because it makes it go by so much faster. It's so much easier, and you can check it before you pull everything through. So I highly recommend getting a cereal box or even a cracker box to cut a little strip of cardboard as wide as your loom is. So it goes all the way across. So I'm just going to tie this on there, and I'm going to keep going in fast motion, and then I'm going to talk to you at the end. That's all I'm going to do for right now. Obviously, there's a lot left to do. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more white stripes, another set of this, 6 more black and white stripes, sorry, another one of these, and another gray swatch. So as long as I can fit everything in here, I have a lot left to do. This is only about 1/3 of the project. I know it takes a really long time to do weaving, especially if you're being careful, and definitely especially if you add any kind of complicated pattern to it like these. Even though these are simple patterns, this is a pretty difficult thing to do. So I want you guys to have enough time to do a good job on it and finish it as much as possible. If you're just doing the striping, then it'll be really easy, and you can just do this maybe even while you're watching TV or just listening to music. Just do it as a relaxing activity. And you can make any pattern. You can do, multiple stripes, thick stripes, thin stripes, whatever you feel like. You can do half of one and half of another if you don't want to do, 4 different threads at once. So you could do, half over here, half over there. And then you can go back to doing full lengths, whatever works for you guys. So you have until the end of the month to complete this. So October 30th is a Friday. That's when I'm going to put it in the OLS for it to be due. So try to get it done by that day. And you're going to upload this to the Navajo Weaving folder in Art Sonia for your grade. But for right now, you're just going to get started on this so that next week when this assignment comes up, you're already going to be partway through it. Okay, so you're still going to have to go through the OLS lessons and everything, but you'll already kind of know how to set up your loom. You can follow the instructions there. It might clarify some things for you as well. So follow those instructions, get started on it, and then try to complete it by the 30th. So you'll have 1 extra week past when the lesson completion portion is actually due in the OLS to finish your weaving. Okay? Good luck. You guys are going to do great. Just take your time. If you make a mistake, it's okay. Try to just, if it's really bad, maybe start over. But if it's just something like this here and there, then it's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. All right, guys.